Hello and welcome to another episode of the Legislative Lens, spotlighting state laws podcast. And in today's awesome episode, we're going to be talking about really kind of in my view, one of the most influential laws that passed in the most recent session here. And it's the House Bill number 25, or better known as the Wholesale Prescription Drug Importation Program. All right. So in this program and in this law, at the onset, it passed unanimously. It had about 12 co-authors, about 26 different amendments. But at its core, it made me laugh because realistically, everyone, Mr. Mark Cuban has a company called Cost Plus Drug Company, which basically is supposed to give you, cost, benefit, cheap prescription drugs when you need it. And it's really kind of ironic how a guy, an entrepreneur that started a company here in the Texas area, wasn't trying to lobby any additional business for the prescription drug medication. So let's talk about what it really does here and how it impacts us here in the state of Texas, shall we? Okay, so this law would allow the state to contract with Canadian drug wholesalers and suppliers to bring safe and eligible prescription drugs to Texas for cheaper than United States wholesalers. Currently, the U.S. has a closed distribution system and does not allow any state discretion on which drugs to bring in. However, federal drug regulators are moving slowly, and the program will not be designed until next year, so it'll be approved by the FDA. So with this bill, by the way, it passed pretty much unanimously. It was 144-1 in the House, and it passed in the Senate as well. So Kelly Anderson really a lot of people in Texas really believe that this law will actually save a lot of money for Texans across the board. And it doesn't matter what political affiliation that you're a part of. It really comes down to what can we do to get the cost of prescription medication at a level that is affordable and it gets you the care that you need. Right now, Representative James Tallarico out of Austin, who's a Democrat, one of the authors of the bill, said Texans pay twice as much as Canadians for their prescription drugs. We can help ensure that Texans can afford the prescription medication that they need for themselves and for their families, and this bill can actually save lives. So let's talk about it a little bit, shall we? Is that, the United States price for EpiPen, for example, the medication that helps you out in the case of an allergic reaction, is around $265, and the Canadian cost is $91. So that is a huge savings right there, just on EpiPen. Okay, EpiPen is a very also, the state does have a long list of medications that would be included in this program, and that would potentially be savings. Okay, so it also has similar programs in Florida and Colorado. So this law did pass, and I'm waiting for the effective date to actually be instituted. I believe it's already effective, but the program has to be designed. So New Mexico, Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire also have similar policies as well, and it really does influence and help, especially the northeast part of the country. A lot of those drugs can come across the border and be beneficial and cost savings for the American people. Obviously, we all live in different states, and so this really started under the TRI initiative under the Trump administration. Okay, if we want to get down to the where this initiative really first started, it started under the Trump administration with allowing states to create these programs because we were seeing the large rise and increase in prescription drugs and the cost. So, with this being said, okay, a couple key things. It may be a little bit of a ways, I say about a year or so out from actually fully being instituted, but the insurance companies are also going to make profit on this situation as well. So do we really see a cost savings on this? Well, time will tell. But I do know EpiPen EpiPens are, a lot of people have allergic reactions to things, and they do need to have an EpiPen, and they don't want to be paying ten to thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for an EpiPen that could be cost saving lives. Okay, so during the House Legislative Committee meetings, the Texas Pharmacy Association opposed the bill. Obviously, their concerns were over safety measures. A lot of these other states have this initiative and this program, and they obviously have ground rules and safety metrics and standards set into these programs. So this is really, I think, a huge monumental program if actually and instituted the way that these other states like New Hampshire, Vermont, and Florida, and some of these bigger states as well. It could really help the cause here in the state of Texas, because Texans, we are ingrained in our society here in Texas is everything's bigger in Texas. Well, why not bring the most core thing that happens here? We do have an aging population, just like Florida, and we need to have the cost and benefit to make people that want to retire here as well. We need those programs to be here. Okay. One of the things as well, Brian Harrison, the Republican out of Waxahachie, or Waxahachie, Snatchy, whatever you want to call it. Most API and active pharmaceutical ingredients are already imported from abroad. So the overwhelming majority, close to 80% of it, is already imported. So that's the stuff that in that pill that is doing the stuff it's supposed to be doing in our body. So there's not some safety unmeasure that needs to be accomplished here. I think a lot of the pharmaceutical industry big pharma didn't want their stuff being outsourced, and they want to keep that cost closer to home. Long term, once this program is initiated and it's brought to the forefront, and there's more and more information that comes out about it, I think more and more people will be more and more in favor of it. Especially with insulin, you have. Let's just go through the list here. I'm not talking about psychological drugs or psych drugs. I'm talking about like diabetic. I'm talking about insulin. I'm talking about EpiPens. I'm talking about things that are really, really crucial to people's survival. And I think with this law, that drastically changes that. And I hope it's for the best. I really do. I think it's going to be more cost effective for families, and hopefully that cost will be brought more down to earth and not in the galaxy far, far away. And we can actually, people will be able to better affordable healthcare responsibilities there, and people can become healthy. A lot of the time, the biggest challenges in the world isn't so much of the curing of disease, it's long-term care. Okay. And from these, for example, illnesses like diabetes and long-term care that takes on a need and necessity for prescription medication. Once that cost gets completely out of hand, a person shouldn't have to pick between living and dying without their medication. And I think this law has a huge, huge impact on people's lives once this program is completely designed from top to bottom, which it will be here. I'm pretty sure by the middle of this year, here in 24, we're definitely going to be onto that. So great law passed by the 88th legislature here. Really a lot to be talked about once more details come about of it, because I think once the initiative is started and once that ball gets rolling, it's going to be really difficult to stop. So I appreciate everyone joining me as well. Thank you for the opportunity to be in your homes and your cars and your earbuds. Feel free to join me as always to continue on this season 1 of Texas, learning more about the state laws that were passed in 2023 in the 88th legislature. Thank you so much. Have a great day.